There's a city where you could spend your entire day without ever stepping outside. Breakfast is downstairs. The barber is around the corner. The dentist is upstairs. Your friends live only a few doors away. Children hurry to school. Factories are already at work. Restaurants are preparing for the morning. Almost everything you need is inside the same building. Or at least, that's what it seems. You climb to the rooftop, hoping to finally get some fresh air. Then you look around. Thousands of windows, endless rooftops, concrete stretching in every direction. And suddenly you realize this was never one building. It was an entire city, home to more than 33,000 people. A place so crowded that from many apartments, the sun never reached the window. And somehow, families still called it home.
Strange ground.
This was Kowloon Walled City.
The obvious question is, how could a place like this exist? Surely someone would have stopped it. Someone must have said, "You can't build here." But for decades, almost nobody did. To understand why, you have to go back long before the apartment blocks, before the factories, before the endless rooftops. This land was once home to a small Chinese military fort. Then, history changed its future. In 1898, Britain leased the surrounding new territories from China. Almost all of the surrounding land came under British administration. But one small piece didn't. The walled city remained an unusual exception. Chinese territory, completely surrounded by British Hong Kong. For years, both governments claimed authority, yet neither exercised consistent day-to-day control over how the settlement developed. It wasn't a place with no laws. It was a place where responsibility was never entirely clear. That uncertainty created something incredibly rare in a rapidly growing city: space. After the Second World War, Hong Kong's population grew rapidly. Refugees arrived searching for safety. Housing became scarce. Land prices climbed. Finding somewhere to live became increasingly difficult. Inside the walled city, people stopped waiting for solutions. If there wasn't room beside a building, they built above it. When another family arrived, another room appeared. Then another floor. Then another staircase connecting everything together. Nobody designed the skyline. Nobody approved a master plan. Every apartment existed because someone needed somewhere to sleep. Every extension solved an immediate problem. One family, one decision, one room at a time. Year after year, those individual choices slowly merged together. Separate buildings became connected. Small alleys disappeared beneath new construction. Staircases linked one structure to another. Eventually, what had once been a collection of buildings became something that looked almost impossible. Not because someone imagined it, because thousands of ordinary people quietly built it together. Most photographs focus on the buildings, the rooftops, the concrete, the density. But buildings don't tell stories. People do. What was it actually like to grow up here?
How did children find their way to school without street names? How did neighbors know where to meet? Where did people buy breakfast? Where did they work? And after spending an entire day surrounded by concrete, where did they go just to see the sky? Because the real mystery of Kowloon Walled City was never how it was built. The real mystery was how 33,000 ordinary people transformed one of the world's most unusual places into somewhere that simply felt like another neighborhood. Let's step back inside, because that's where the real story begins.
Step back inside, and something unexpected happens. The city begins to feel ordinary. A woman stops at the noodle shop before work. A father walks his son toward school. The barber who opened earlier is now chatting with his regular customers. A dentist welcomes his first patient of the day. Across the hallway, a small workshop is already alive with the sound of sewing machines and metal tools. For the people who lived here, life wasn't defined by the buildings. It was defined by routine. Children didn't memorize street names. There were almost none. Instead, directions sounded like this: past the bakery, up 2 staircases, turn right at the dentist, then follow the long corridor until you hear the factory. To a visitor, those directions made no sense. To residents, they were as natural as saying, "Meet me at the corner." After enough time, the city no longer felt confusing. It became familiar. The impossible slowly became ordinary. That still leaves another question. How could a place like this actually function? What happened when someone became sick? What if there was a fire? How did mail ever find the right apartment? The answers were rarely simple. The narrow corridors made emergency access difficult. Ambulances couldn't drive through the city. Firefighters often faced the same challenge. Utilities expanded gradually as the community grew. Some electrical wiring was installed professionally. Other parts were added informally over time. Repairs often depended on the people who lived there. Neighbors helped neighbors. Shop owners looked after one another. People solved problems together because they couldn't always wait for someone else to solve them. The city wasn't efficient. It wasn't modern. It certainly wasn't perfect. Yet somehow, day after day, it continued to function. Not because the buildings worked so well, but because the community did. If Kowloon Walled City appears in a documentary, there's a good chance you'll hear about gangs. And that history is real. During the 1950s and 1960s, triad organizations operated gambling dens, brothels, and drug businesses within parts of the city. But if that's the only story we tell, we miss the one that mattered most. As police operations increased during the 1970s, organized crime declined significantly. The headlines remained, the stereotypes remained. The ordinary lives rarely did. Parents still hurried to work. Children still raced home from school. Restaurants still filled with regular customers. Neighbors still borrowed sugar. Friends still met on rooftops at sunset. Thousands of people continued doing something history rarely remembers. They simply lived. By the 1980s, the buildings were growing old. Maintaining the city had become increasingly difficult. Eventually, Britain and China agreed that Kowloon Walled City would be cleared. In 1987, the announcement finally came. Residents would move. The city would disappear. Some welcomed the opportunity.
Others struggled to imagine leaving the only place they had ever called home. Families packed away photographs. Businesses served their final customers. Neighbors said goodbye in corridors they had walked for decades. Between 1993 and 1994, the demolition crews slowly dismantled the city. The hallways disappeared. The staircases vanished. The rooftops, where generations of children had played, fell silent. An entire city was gone.
Today, Kowloon Walled City Park is quiet. Trees now grow where apartment blocks once stood. Children play where rooftops once stretched from building to building. Most visitors would never guess that one of the world's most extraordinary communities once stood here. The world remembers Kowloon Walled City because it looked impossible. The people who lived there remembered something entirely different. The bakery they visited every morning, the staircase they climbed every evening, the neighbors who knew their names, the rooftop where children played before dinner. We remember the city, but did we ever stop to understand the people who called it home? Isn't it the real mystery all along? Places like this shouldn't exist, but they do. If you enjoyed this investigation, like the video and subscribe to Strange Ground. And if you're not ready to leave yet, another case is waiting on your screen now. Until next time, stay curious.